So what's going to happen is that the prosecution will submit a sentencing memorandum, the defense will do the same, and the prosecution will argue that there are aggravating circumstances here. The prosecution, I think, will argue that there is evidence that and facts that the jury heard, which are related to the crimes that he was convicted of, that indicate that there should be prison time in this case.
So what's going to happen is that the prosecution will submit a sentencing memorandum. The defense will do the same and the prosecution will argue that there are aggravating circumstances here. The prosecution, I think, will argue that there is evidence that in facts that the jury heard which are related to the crimes that he was convicted of that indicate that there should be prison time in this case. Don Deal has broken the code of silence and the tremors are being felt from coast to coast. Behind closed doors, the hip-hop elite is panicking. Why? Because one of Diddy's most trusted former insiders is now telling the world what so many have only whispered about in dark rooms and encrypted texts. Don isn't just some disgruntled employee. He was there right in the belly of the beast. And now he's claiming that Diddy was not only connected to the human trafficking empire, currently under federal investigation, but that he may have played a role in orchestrating one of the most iconic incidents in music history, the slaying of Shakur. They did not want East Coast rappers to get big. They were suppressing all new artists that was coming out of New York. Jay and Diddy was doing that. The allegations are damning. Gene Deal has gone on record multiple times insisting that Diddy had deep operational ties to both the FBI and the criminal underworld and that those worlds often blurred in dangerous ways. If Gene is telling the truth, then this isn't just another fallen celebrity. This is someone who built an empire at top manipulation, surveillance, and violence. According to Deal, Diddy didn't just have secrets. He was the secret. The eye of the storm, the master of plausible deniability. And now, decades after the bullet stopped flying on the Las Vegas Strip, the storm might finally be catching up with him. Damn. That's one reason other than the Gotti that 50 was going through and the poison they was putting in about 50, he had to go elsewhere to California or with Jay and not with Dre and Eminem to get a deal. The stakes monumental because these claims aren't being made in some dusty podcast corner. They're colliding with real-time courtroom chaos. Federal prosecutors have already shocked the public by admitting a key witness referred to as Victim 3 in the superseding indictment is missing. Not just unreachable, gone. No confirmed location, no communication, not even a whisper from her legal team. According to court filings, she had explosive testimony ready to go. Testimony that reportedly involved decades of coercion, illicit parties, and secret recordings allegedly orchestrated by Combs himself. Now, that testimony might never reach the light of day. And behind the scenes, people are asking the one question everyone's afraid to voice out loud. Did someone make her disappear? Is that New York rappers was getting 80 to 100, 8,800 to a million? To some larger than that and signing to sign with labels back then. We're not the only ones asking. Legal insiders are describing this as a Ghislaine Maxwell-style operation but with designer suits and platinum records. Some former employees even compared Diddy's longtime chief of staff to Maxwell herself, alleging she coordinated escorts, orchestrated substance-filled events, and managed non-disclosure agreements like a mafia accountant balancing hush money. Court documents claimed there were freak-offs filmed sessions where women were forced to perform while Diddy watched and recorded for leverage. Victims say he threatened to release those tapes if they didn't comply. And one federal agent reportedly described the discovery of over 1,000 bottles of baby oil during a raid on his mansion as evidence of an operation that was organized, industrial, and relentless. But the temperature keeps rising because Don Deal isn't the only one cracking under the weight of the past. Enter Suge Knight. Locked behind bars, stripped of his empire, and with nothing left to lose, he's now adding fuel to the fire. From his prison cell, Suge has allegedly confirmed key details of the long-circulating theory that Diddy placed a bounty on Shakur's head, millions reportedly, just to make the problem go away. According to recently unsealed court documents from the Shakur case, Diddy was named over 40 times in a covert police interview with Keefe D., the last surviving suspect in Shakur's 1996 drive-by. He told authorities that Diddy didn't just encourage violence, he demanded it. The words allegedly, "I'll give anything for that dude's head," meaning Suge, meaning Shakur, meaning both. And that was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people going to like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out, brother. And guess what? According to Keith's story, that bounty wasn't some whispered threat. It was a public declaration allegedly made in front of dozens of people. Then just days later, Shakur was ambushed on the Vegas Strip, shot multiple times, passed away days later in a hospital bed. Diddy has always denied any involvement, calling these claims pure fiction. But prosecutors now have transcripts, tapes, witnesses, and they're not laughing. As this trial rolls forward, more dots are connecting. A former LA detective insists that Keith's confession should have cracked the case wide open years ago, but celebrity and silence kept it buried. Now that the dam's breaking, the implications are staggering. If even a fraction of this is true, it suggests Diddy used his stature to manipulate everything from police investigations to witness testimonies. Gene Deal, for his part, claims the mogul has been an FBI informant for years, feeding them crumbs while protecting his empire from full exposure. And the whispers about missing witnesses, vanished files, and silenced accusers. They're suddenly looking less like conspiracy and more like strategy. There's different things that's not really beef though. That's just competitive. Competitiveness. All right. So, you and Diddy, you and Puff cool. No, I don't really okay. Damn. All right. Gene has already said he's been threatened when source close to him claims he was recently assaulted in what looked less like a mugging and more like a warning. And here's the thing, he's not backing down. If anything, the threats have made him louder. Boulder determined to take this to the bitter end, even if it means naming names and burning every bridge he once guarded. Meanwhile, insiders say more former employees are thinking of stepping forward, but fear they'll be the next victim 3. And let's talk about her, victim 3. She was supposed to be the prosecution's ace card, someone who would expose how deep this thing goes. She'd allegedly told authorities she wanted to use her real name in court. She was ready to testify. And then radio silence. She's no longer in New York. The feds can't find her. Her lawyer won't return calls and the prosecution has already admitted they might have to go forward without her. Now think about that for a second. A woman prepared to name names, expose a decade of abuse, and tie Diddy directly to federal crimes vanishes gone before the trial even begins. People inside the courtroom say this could derail the entire case. Others aren't so sure because if Gene Deal, Suge Knight, and the mounting evidence around Kef are to be believed, then this story isn't just about a missing witness. It's about a man who may have built a billion-dollar brand while orchestrating chaos in the shadows. Diddy has denied everything. His lawyers are spinning hard, painting the freak-offs as private intimacy between consenting adults, dismissing the videos seized from his mansions as irrelevant. But prosecutors aren't budging. They say what they found on film, in testimony, and buried in NDA agreements is the kind of evidence that locks people up for life. Don't trust nobody. In Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California. And this missing witness isn't the only chilling twist. Federal agents say Diddy used jailhouse phone access to secretly coordinate with outside contacts allegedly manipulating witnesses from behind bars, three-way calls, unauthorized access, code words. This wasn't panic. This was planning. And it's that kind of coordination that's giving prosecutors reason to believe they're not just looking at a morally bankrupt celebrity. They're staring down the mastermind of a multi-dead criminal enterprise. The feds are already calling it R. Kelly meets Epstein meets Hollywood. And here's the scariest part. They haven't even shown all their cards yet. Because the most damning evidence, the stuff that ties the human trafficking case directly to the old-school LA violence, it might be sitting in hard drives, wiretaps, and witness statements that haven't even been introduced in court. Jay-Z got his ass hooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. Solange. You got to ask the fans ain't step in and do nothing. The fans don't get you care about you getting your ass hooped. Meanwhile, Suge Knight is allegedly willing to testify. He's already told sources that what he knows could shatter the image of Mr. Bad Boy once and for all. And when asked whether Diddy was scared of Shakur back in the day, Keith D's response on tape was instant. He didn't say a specific dollar amount, but he wanted the man's head. In fact, according to Key, when Diddy ran into his crew after Shakur was gone, he wouldn't even make eye contact. He was just watching the car. He wasn't paying attention to none of them girls. He said he was tripping like this dude's scared. And if that's true, then the real question is this: what else is he scared of coming out? And if that's true, then the real question is this: what else is he scared of coming out?